Hello there folks, welcome back to another episode of the Dortmund Do It Better series with me, DoctorBenjyFM. Good to see you, I hope I find you very well today then. Let's talk about what we've done. I'm going to go into detail more today about the inner working, some of the stats behind some of the team details that you get from the league page, and talk about the weird sort of system we're using to have ourselves at the very top of the table. We talked a little bit about it last time, we're going into more detail today. But first things first, let's talk you through what we've done since we last met in this Dortmund adventure. Of course, that game we played was against Stuttgart. It was a very successful 3-0 win. We might have a couple of games today. Augsburg is the one I've got lined up, but who knows what might happen after that. It depends what we get through before it. Werder Bremen, Union Berlin, both beaten as well. Clean sheets in all those games, which is really, really promising for us. And then a good win against Fortuna Dusseldorf. That long-term viewers of me will know I'm happy to beat the meal. It's always a good time for me. Wolfsburg then a 2-2 against them, and that was the start of our worst run in the league so far, which I could be happy with considering it was only the two games you can see in front of you then. The 2-2. One of these frustrating games that I talked about we sometimes have. We just weren't taking our chances, and that is so pivotal to how we play. Like we were having 15 shots, which is more than the most of the shots we have, right? But a lower XG, and Wolfsburg. So I also snatched the draw away from me. 73 minutes. There was a little bit of time for us to try and get back into it, but we couldn't make it happen. And then that led into the away game in Leipzig, and this was the first time I was genuinely frustrated with this team. You can see there Leipzig playing a 3, what's that, sort of a 5, isn't it? Almost a 5-2-1-2 system, and they were just having the better of me. Two very mobile attackers, Dani Olmo linking it together, and again, I was playing our regular system defensively, so one of the worst performances we've had all year. Haaland on a 6.1. I started him from the off, which of course we've played him as a sub a lot of the time, but no, started him from the off. Felt like it was the best thing to do, and came a little bit unstuck. We then won 4 games in a row, so there's something to be said for the fact we turned it around pretty quickly. And fortunately for us, some of the sides in the Bundesliga aren't that great, and that allows us to get back into form very, very quickly. But we've had some major injury issues recently, and that has also arguably been affecting our form just that little bit. Zlatan Ibrahimovic being one of the main ones, a fractured lower leg. It's been out for quite a long period of time, and actually forced us to make a move in the transfer market. We have no money, which is strange because you think that you look at the Dortmund balance, you'd think they'd give us a little bit to spend here and there, but no, nothing over £1 million. So we had to go out and get someone to basically play that sort of Zlatan role, maybe not quite as often, certainly not starting as many. Haaland has been playing a significant portion of games, but we had to go out and get somebody. I don't know if Dortmund, by the way, aren't giving us money because of the COVID situation. The first couple of years on Football Manager, teams spend less, there is less available to go around world football. It's different to Chelsea in that like we didn't have assets to sell here where we did at Chelsea. So with a limited squad and limited budgets, it does mean I have to search hard to find someone. The player we eventually went for is someone that plays in Germany, Andreas Vogelsammer, which is probably said incorrectly, but he was the man that I went for. It cost me £325,000 from Arminia Bielefeld. He's not even really playing for them this season, but I just thought attribute-wise, kind of made sense, right? Good aggression, good work rates, decent physicals, just an okay striker. And again, for the value that he cost me to get in as an emergency backup, as you can see from his contract, on 16 grand a week, even that was 25,000. Like the loans options were slightly better, but again, very, very restricted in what we could actually do as Dortmund manager. So he was brought in as sort of the Zlatan replacement. Don't tell Zlatan, he would not be happy to know that he's been replaced by that particular fella. Elsewhere, Jadon Sancho picked up a knock, so he's been unavailable for a while. A torn back muscle, which sounds dreadful, doesn't it? Yeah, been out for a good month now. In the game against Wolfsburg it happened. Elsewhere, Axel Witsel, another one that's picked up an injury more recently, a pulled thigh, so he's not been available, which means we've had to move Emre Can out of Libero for a few games, back today, but play him in midfield and play Eric Garcia in that defensive role. And of course he's here because Akanji's still out with his long-term injury. It's going to be out for a while yet as well. Maybe I'll register him at the very end of this window so he can be available later on this season, but yeah, we'll certainly miss a massive portion of this year. So while we've had Zlatan as an extra boost, we've certainly lacked a defender. Now, let's talk about this team, which, as I will show you here, is still top of the Bundesliga. 5 points gone, 19 games gone, and of course we're getting to that 20-game mark today. I said I'd be back for it. And Erling Haaland is magical. Guerrero, Royce, Haaland, they have been absolutely sensational. And Berkey's 10 assists, clean sheets this year. If we'd got 10 assists, that would be something entirely different. It's so impressive. The stats of this season, and I've noted a few down that I think are fascinating. When you consider we are top of the league by 5 points in the Bundesliga, let's look through a few of these team detail statistics here. These are odd, to say the least. Let's start with average possession. You can see all the top teams there. The most amount of possession, Bayern Munich, 58%. We are down at 40%. You can't quite see it again. I'm in the way. I'll move myself briefly. 40%. That is hardly any percent compared to it's the lowest in the league by a mile. And we're still managing to be top of the league. We'll talk about tactically why that is in a moment, again, going into a little bit more detail. In terms of headers won ratio, we are right up there. Those three defenders are winning so many headers. And not only that, offensively, both Haaland and Zlatan winning a lot of knockdowns and enabling us to start moves from further up the pitch. If you take a look at a few others, though, you think that we're not having the most amount of possession. What we are having is the most amount of goals. We've scored 40 goals. Mönchengladbach on 39, and then Bayern Munich on 38. It's quite a big drop-off to Leipzig, Hertha, Freiburg, etc. But, yeah, 40 goals. And again, that gets kind of crazier when you look at a few of the other bits and pieces that we've done this year. Important to note, we are scoring a lot of set pieces. Not only are we scoring a lot of set pieces, we're not conceding from set pieces ever, really. Goals from direct free kicks, and corners, totaling, 10 of our 40 goals? So 25%. It's a big whack. And of course, this doesn't take into account, and I don't know why, goals from long throws. We've probably got 5 or 6 of those this season as well. So you think about that as a percentage of our goals this season. It's an awful lot. Shots on target, again, despite having limited possession, we're in the top 5 for that, which I still think is really good. The idea that we're up there is great for us. This is the big one for me, conversion rate. Like, we are scoring 1 of every 5 shots we have, which is quite the ratio. Like, the fact that we're getting goals that regularly is kind of crazy. Like Bayern Munich, for example, down in 8th, scoring 12% of theirs are going in. It's a pretty crazy stat, 20%. Open up your save right now. See what your percentage is with your team. If it's as high as 20, I'll be very impressed. That is as high as I think I've ever had it with any team that I've ever managed. Similarly, like we talked about possession a little bit there, we're not really having possession at all. In terms of passes completed, we are, again, just to show you, I'll move myself out of the way, we are bottom of that list. We are bottom by 1,400 passes. And just quickly, on pass completion ratio, we're at the bottom of that as well. So even when we're having the ball, we are not keeping it as the other sides in our division. And that is working really well, which is a really weird thing to say. But the idea we're having the fewest amount of passes, we're having the fewest amount of possession, and the fewest pass completion ratio of anybody in this league is kind of crazy, right? And why, Ben? Why is it happening like this? Well, we are set up to play that way, and it's works out really well for us. Defensively, we are incredibly difficult to break down, and I focused a little bit before on the defensive players and why they are so crucial to the system in which we're playing. But these two in midfield, right, and when it's Witsel, it's arguably more impressive, right? Bellingham isn't quite at the level yet. He's still working up to being a top-class midfielder. He's still 17, right? So let's put Witsel in there, although he's not going to play because of the injury he's currently got. He and Delaney are traditionally relative, like Witsel maybe not so much, but Delaney are defensively minded players. They are very conscious of what's going on behind them. Neither of them are on attack duties, and both of them are pivotal to making sure that defensively we are solid, and equally going forward they are there. Why are they able to do that? Well, a few reasons. Their teamwork for both of them, 19 teamwork for Delaney and Witsel. If you want 2 players that are going to link all of this together, especially when you play quite a direct style, these are the perfect type of players. Players with high teamwork will do just that. They will be making themselves available at every opportunity to make everybody else's life on the pitch easier. The player that springs to mind as a Liverpool fan is Jordan Henderson. Does the same thing. That's the kind of role he plays, and having 2, not just 1, 2 players that do that, wow, so important. I've used it before with having deep line playmakers who sit sort of in this position and they control everything and they make it all tick right. But having, say, 2 of them is kind of crazy. Physically as well, both fantastic, good stamina on both of them, great natural fitness as well. As I say, Delaney, the more defensive of the 2, Witsel, the playmaker, slightly better passing, but again, great natural fitness, great stamina as well. And they get on a little bit, like replacing these 2 players would be incredibly difficult. And I actually, like with the Chelsea series we did previously, I played through the next transfer window, and I think Dortmund get around 50 million to spend. I'll probably do that as well. Maybe I'll talk about some of that on Twitter, so do follow over there at DoctorBenjy. I'll tweet out a few bits and, of course, share it in the Discord as well. But those 2 players, so important. And when we're lacking those heavy teamwork-based players, that is when things maybe occasionally fall apart. Like, I've got Dahoud here, who's a good player. The 14 teamwork, the fact there's 5 fewer, right? And he's lacking in the natural fitness. He's lacking at tackling. He's he's our only other option in central midfield, really. I mean, we're barely playing. Of course, Emre Can is the other one who could certainly do that. But again, even his team works slightly less. So when we're forced to play him further forward, which we have been with the Witsel injury, we've not quite been as effective as we are. Of course, in possession, tactically, playing attacking the whole time. So constantly looking for these passes, playing at a slightly higher tempo, even though it says it's dropped a little lower, playing more direct. It's been crucial. In transition, we're distributing, like we talked about it last time, we had goals from it against Stuttgart. We were distributing it to that target man. And his role in this team, like it was funny, right? I brought a striker in that isn't tall enough necessarily, doesn't have good jumping reach. I just brought a striker in because we had to. I couldn't find anybody. Haaland and Zlatan are... One is obviously a very expensive young player. One is a very sought after, with high reputation in Zlatan, right? It's been around forever. And their height and their build enables us to play this way. You couldn't do this with a striker under 6'4" with poor heading. Like it wouldn't work. You could try and plug this in, but you would have to find a different way to build attacks. You couldn't play direct like this. But having players like Royce, having players like Sancho and Brandt buzz around again, we talked about it yesterday. It's pivotal, and it allows us to play what is like it's not pretty. I guess if you were a Dortmund fan and you watch this, you'd be like, I know what the system is, but I don't know if I'm enjoying it necessarily. And it's quite curious to play a system that you know isn't entertaining by the traditional terms of what we think is entertaining football, that Pep Guardiola tiki-taka style, right? Even the gegenpress, we're not pressing really high. We are counter-pressing, but we're doing it in a way that isn't the most intense way it could possibly be. Our lines are the standard lines, but defensively, we are incredibly difficult to break down. And again, a lot of the credit goes to that central midfield too in there. Right. Talking about a lot of the stats, talking about a lot of the detail, let's try once again to see it in action. And curiously, I am going to play Jude Bellingham in this deep line playmaker role on a defensive duty, despite the fact he doesn't have the best defensive stats. What he does have, though, is some really good technical ability for a young age and the potential to be an absolute superstar in this game. And it's potentially the player to take over from Royce once upon a time, right? Maybe by the age of 21, he could be that guy if Dortmund could hold on to Haaland for a long period of time, which in real life, of course, is going to be so difficult. Like, he's going to be the most sought-after striker in world football. Him and Mbappe are going to have that rivalry somewhere, you'd suspect, and hopefully it's in England, speaking with a slight bias. I'll take either at Liverpool, let's be honest. Right, let's play a game then. We've got Augsburg, we're the home side against them, and let's see then, can we make this happen? I hope so. It's such a fun thing to do. Like, I don't know, hopefully you can feel my enthusiasm for this type of intricate detail and talking about it a little more. Tomorrow's episode, we'll talk a little bit about player instructions and how I've got them playing in slightly different ways. But yeah, there's only so much you can cover in these episodes, and they do go on a little bit. They're quite wordy. So let's see if we can put some of this into practice. That's going to be crucial. It's all good, well and good talking about it. Against Stuttgart last time, we saw exactly what we're talking about. So things to expect going into this game is the movement of the midfield two and how they cover them. We'll keep a close eye on Bellingham. And of course, I'm expecting at least one set-piece goal somewhere. And this could make it 5 wins on the bounce. Of course, we've had a few ups and downs recently, though. We've had a loss, we've had a draw, so you never know. And two banks of 4 is the sort of thing that could restrict us. They're playing that defensive player just in front of their back line, who, if he's a problem or a big lad, could get in the way of Haaland and the good work that he does for us. But here we go. We've got a big chance. And of course, we can compare our points tally, which is going to be, well, up there, isn't it? It's going to be 46, 47 or 49 to what Dortmund did or are doing in real life after 20 games. As you can see, ball played in and... well, this is in a weird way, viewers, I kind of like it. I like the idea that I now have to find a way to battle through, figure out why we've conceded that goal, and find a way out of this position. If I could have set it up like this, viewers, I dare say I may have done. As the first throw in is put in, that ball into the centre. It's a lack of marking at the back. We're not goal side of Vargas, who has the easiest of finishes. And of course, we're now going to sort of let the time tick away a little bit and try and garner a little bit of information about what's happening. Let's bring up their formation again and just find out the roles they're playing within this. So they're wingers. They're very tightly compact, actually. So there may be a little bit of space in wider areas. Playing a defensive winger, playing an inverted winger, and then one pressing forward, who ideally will be isolated from us. But the two wide players, very, very much involved. We'll keep an eye on what they're doing. Like I say, they're both having great games. I guess one assisted, one scored, so that's part of it. Stroll in the centre, he's going to be, or Strobel in the centre is going to be interesting. Whether he is going to be having a good game or not is going to depend a lot upon what we do. As we've got ourselves a free kick, well, we score a lot of them. Zagadou down to Royce, who tries to turn and shoot on it, can't quite do so. and they get an opportunity to bring this away. I think in this type of game, as Brandt fouls them on a breakaway and probably gets booked for that, we can probably afford to be a little bit more attacking. I don't think we have to sit as far back. I don't think they're going to commit men forward. I think them playing an isolated striker also helps us a lot. And we should find a way then to find a little bit of more support for Erling Haaland. And I've not done this very often, but I think this is one of those games where Emre Can comes completely out of here, and I don't even change what the wing-backs are doing. I don't put them further back. And Gio Reyna or Thorgan Hazard, someone like that, comes in, and we play, and I've done this once or twice, not very often, but once or twice, we play 3 trequartistas, all buzzing around Erling Haaland. We keep that direct style, and now we just have an extra attacker in a forward area. I'm also going to make our tempo a little quicker. I don't know if they're going to be able to handle it, but currently, like, it's been a little bit too easy for them, right? And they're obviously finding a way to deal with Haaland, and we need to try and break that now. So we're going to see if that happens and see if it works. And again, we've got to create a few more chances. I should probably do a few more shouts. One thing I sort of overlook when I'm commentating over the gameplay. Royce is having a really poor game, to the point where I'm going to get him off. I'm also, do you know what I could have done? I could have put Shan in for Bellingham. That might have been a better move there. But, you know, you live by the sword, die by the sword. So Reyna's going to come in for Royce. And Haaland, I mean, Haaland's got to start doing something. I don't know if he's just not in the game right now. Again, it's something we can maybe look at. And these boys are firing up. Like, they seem to have come into this game against Augsburg thinking it's going to be plain sailing. I don't think so, mates. As Haaland flicks it on, Julian Brandt's there. It's going to be offside, is it? I didn't think it was. But Haaland's flick on to Brandt. He has straight offside. Let's take a look at it. I mean, again, it's a set piece, right? It's a throw in towards Haaland. He's flicked it on, the height of him, winning those headers. And let's just take a look. It seemed very, very close to me. So I'm curious to see just how far off this is. We're getting on a top, above view on it. As he flicks it on, flipping, hey, it's very, 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 very close. Hopefully you can see it as well as I could. That is that is a close one. 20 minutes to go. The defensive players aren't even doing that much, really. And out on that side, I think because he's playing complete wing-back, we actually change his role up to a winger attack. And we try and get him behind. And I might do the same thing with Brandt as well. I think the way to get around this, maybe, I'm going to have them both wingers, is to play a little bit wider. And to try and stretch them. Because there's a lot of... They're very compact, right? So let's counter that. I arguably could have done this slightly earlier as well, looking back. But let's just see if it gives us a little bit more space to manoeuvre. Hopefully not too much space that they find gaps within our... Especially our centre-backs, right? Hummels isn't the quickest if they get a man in behind. As Hummels is the first to meet that. He finds Haaland as I make the pitch a little bit smaller. Haaland's in on goal. Shot goes in. Gets to the second. That's what makes this man so good. And he's turned it round. Whether that was an impact of us playing slightly wider or not, I don't know. They are negatively reacting to what's just happened, as you'd expect after conceding a goal. But yeah, this first touch from Haaland, the second touch is ridiculous. Shot goes in. Great first save, but his reaction time to get it on his favoured left foot and have another go. If there's going to be a winner in this game, you'd like to think at this stage it will be us. I'm going to keep playing slightly wider. I'm going to encourage the boys to really go for this now. I think there could be a possibility they begin to crumble. They're making changes. Their midfield are hopefully chasing shadows a little bit as the time's ticking away. One more thing I'm going to do. Reyna's a decent trequartista. I'm going to have him sit a little deeper, basically. There's a temptation to play Bellingham next to him, but that's a different Ben. That's not tactical Ben. He wouldn't do that. 10 minutes to go. Is there going to be another chance for us? Again, I'm a little bit wary of being hit on the break or hitting wide areas, but Guerrero does brilliantly there. Finds Haaland. It's a big chance. And he scores. Again, whether that is a case of what I've done or not, it's hard to say. You could argue that the fullbacks now have more to think about with them being wingers rather than trequartistas, right? It doesn't suit their narrow style anymore. And our ability to change that might have caused them a little bit of a problem. That said, Erling Haaland is one of the only strikers that will do that on a regular basis and makes my life a lot easier. Instruction-wise, we're going to start wasting time a little bit. It's interesting that while playing on attacking, I can still waste time now and again. But going 1-0 down early, it gave us a challenge, gave us something to try and figure out. And, I mean, is there going to be a set-piece goal? They come a lot. Oh, not quite. Haaland headed it down. We were close to it as their clearance is pretty rushed. I say pretty rushed. We are going to get there first, just about. Hummels, of all people, sprints to the ball. Bellingham gets on it. And is there going to be a nice pattern of play? It's not very like us. We don't do possession very often. Yeah, I'm not expecting us to. But I guess we're playing slightly differently. Brandt out wide, playing as a winger to seal it. Hits the post. I think that's going to be it, though. And they've had to change system now as well. They've panicked with the final few minutes. And our changes, I genuinely think, have had probably a bigger impact on their shape and stylistically how they play, but equally, like we the type of goals we score, I say they're not going to be lovely, flowing, tiki-taka moves. They're going to be positional based, really. And I'd like to think the gaps that were created a little bit were impacted by the changes that we made. Of course, there is an element of fortune, and it's nice to have Erling Haaland on your team, as with the final few seconds, Brandt just runs it out. I think that's going to be that. Nice to have to come from behind, though, because, again, I like, as a manager, it tests me a little bit to change things around. And I think, again, making the pitch bigger, creating more space may have aided us. And we had a few more chances as well towards the end of the game too, which is unlike us. But, yeah, ordinarily, what we play tends to work. Look at that. Lovely stuff. We are now 8 points clear, 49 points. I'm sure I've got it somewhere. How does that compare to Dortmund, then? Just thought I'd, get the image, just minimise my game quickly. What can possibly go wrong here, viewers, at the end of an episode? My game crashed! No! Viewers, I've had a crash dump! I can't believe it! You can see it there. I came to open up the Dortmund league table. You can see after 20 games, they had 32 points rather than 49. We're even doing better than Bayern. I've had a crash dump. You're kidding me. Heartbreak, viewers. I'll play the game again. There's not much more I can do. And hopefully win it, right? But that's so frustrating. I'm going to keep it as the episode, though, because I think we took something from it, I hope. But what a frustration, viewers. What a frustration. And that, then, is where we'll leave things for today. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I will, of course, play through that game again. And one of those things. I minimised Football Manager to bring up this graphic. And, well, I wish I hadn't done that now. But that's going to conclude. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully that doesn't take away from what we did. And yeah, hopefully in the game where I play them again, we win again. With love, with care. Until next time. I'll see you tomorrow for a whole lot more of this at midday. Goodbye. Crash dumps. Unbelievable. Ruining my tactical nous.